lot of companies are in different maturity journey. Today, I met there are a lot of clear leaders. Like we have, today I met the CEO of Garuda Food, as all you know. We met some companies like BNI, Indostat, a lot of companies and a lot of banks, retailers, telcos. So in each of these companies, there are different levels of journey. Some of the most advanced companies, they're there, they're ready, but it requires, like I said, they requires us to work with a partner like us. One of the reasons, for example, people are worried is sovereignty, data privacy. So Salesforce has invested huge data centers in Indonesia to ensure this is a great, to ensure we follow all the laws and regulations in data privacy. But companies like this, what they're doing is they are ensuring that the guardrails which are required for, and there are 3 types of guardrails. One is like, hallucination, wrong data. One is bias, and one is cultural sovereignty. What is okay in one country may not be okay in another country.
In another country.
Okay, so there is technical sovereignty and strategic sovereignty, and they need. This is where we are helping them. So because our platform allows them to define what is acceptable for you, what is not acceptable for you, for your country, for your situation, for your employees, for your customers. And our platform puts these guardrails so that the LLMs can't do whatever they want, because you have a filter. That's what they're doing.
What is the biggest challenges that our enterprises facing in terms of adopting AI technology in their company?
So I would not want to use a blanket brush, because each customer is different. Each company is in a different transformation. But definitely, a lot of them are still not having a data foundation.
What kind of foundation that they actually needs?
See, one is, imagine when let's say I'm registering, sometimes I give my full name. Sometimes I give a nickname. Sometimes I say Srini Tallapragada. Sometimes I say Srinivas Tallapragada. Sometimes I say STALLAPR. I'm registering different ways. But if you are the company, you want to know me as Srini, which is all the same unique. So, and the other issue people have is, in most companies, enterprises, and every enterprise will understand this, it's all in silos. And we all know this. You know how we'll know this? You call, sometimes you have an issue with your phone or with your utility or something. And when you call the phone, the person on the other side, the call center person, the support person who's helping you, if they're experienced, most of the time you are hearing click, 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 they're typing in and they're trying different scenes. And some of the times they'll tell you, give me a minute because I have to check this screen, that system. So they're all in disparate systems and they don't have a unified customer profile. So having a data foundation means bringing all of this data in the enterprise, cleaning it, knowing where the data is. That is like the biggest block right now.
Okay, so we could say it's like avoiding fragmented data, isn't it?
Yes, avoiding fragmented data and data silos, if you will. And not only fragmented data silos, but also clean data, ensuring that they're not duplicates, there's not bad data. And that's what is the step one, I would say.
The main problem, mostly that we know, probably fragmented data, poor data quality, legacy systems, and also security concerns. And from all of those problems, which tends to be the biggest risk in AI success?
I would say poor data hygiene. I would say that's the hardest. Because security and all, most companies, if they use a platform like us, will take care.
So it's already handled.
We handle, the platform handles. If they try to do it yourself, some companies try to do it. I think that's very risky. They need to use a platform, not just Salesforce, but somebody else. There are a lot of platforms. We are definitely the number one in this area. But we will handle, the platform will handle the security. What I think we cannot help is not they having all these data quality. If they don't have the data hygiene and all, we have tools which will help them maintain the hygiene, but I think the company has to have business sponsors who care about the data. And the best way of ensuring that usually is, if the managers or leaders are using the data, they're using their Tableau dashboards, they say what is there. We have a saying in our sales team that if it's not in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. So sometimes if I'm using it every day as a senior leader, I say, hey, why is this data wrong?
Yeah.
And then naturally, everybody keeps down the chain and ensure that, hey, the boss is listening. So usually it starts from the top. If I just say, clean your data, nobody will do it. But if I'm using the data to make a decision, everybody will follow through.
Yeah, very understandable. And I would like to know more about LLMS. Okay. We know that LLMS is immensely powerful and they are not sufficient to just deliver the reliable results that business leaders are looking for. And this created a last mile gap. This created a huge gap. What could enterprise do to address this?
Yeah. So I think it's a great question. So these LLMs, every day, this is the dichotomy you see. Every day in the news item, you hear the LLMs are really beating on all sorts of benchmarks. You see that they are beating in, you see every day there's a new item and a new LLM which says, oh, it's beating Math Olympiad, it's beating a PhD level math, it's doing chemistry, it's trying to do this. You hear that a lot. And then it's been 3 years since ChatGPT came, but in reality, if you look even ourselves individually, other than people using what I call TLDR, summary, and maybe some creativity, the business impact is not there. The GDP impact has not been there. And why is it not there? Because we say this is what we call the last mile problem. While the LLMs are great technology, they are raw intelligence. That's how you should think of it, as LLMs are raw intelligence. They need a place to work. Just like you can't have just raw intelligence, you need training and guardrails. So you should think of these LLMs as very bright intern. And imagine you hired a very bright intern and just say, do it. No, you don't do that, correct? You give them onboarding, you train them, you give them guardrails, you tell what they can do, you tell them what they cannot do, correct? You need to do this system. This is what we call the last mile. So ensuring that using the LLM, these agents, you need to define what their role is. What are the things it can do, what it cannot do. Then you need to give access to the data, and access, like we said, data is all over the company in a federated, and we have a product called Data 360, but you need to be able to access the data. That gives context. And then to make it work, you need tooling, you need to act, you need API access. And most importantly, you need guardrails, what it cannot do. And you need to, this is what we call the trust layer. And the guardrails is around what it cannot do, what data it has access to. Again, like we discussed, bias, hallucination. And then imagine you're in a regulated industry or a government industry. You also need things like, how do you test it?